What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Enoch. Y'all know what's up. I got my brother James with me.
Oh,
You're now tuned in to the Blood Brothers podcast. Let's go. Welcome back to the Blood Brothers podcast, everybody. Y'all know how we like to do it. Before we get going, let's bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, thank you for this day. We thank you for this moment. Use us right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
A is always to the men.
You already know. Talk to the people, man.
Oh, this is why I give the mission statement.
I mean, what else is there to do? We can't start without it.
We don't change up. Stay
Uh-huh.
consistent. The mission will
Uh-huh.
always remain the same. Empowering men to become leaders in society under God's law. Consequently, men, women, other children will understand what it is to be a real man.
Yes, sir. Last week we had our first guest, bro.
My boy Ron.
Yo, that was fire, man. What was your one of your takeaways from that?
Um, I think what I realized is that I find attraction to people who are like-minded in my aspect, like with the
Mhm.
same morals and the driven philosophy and really
Mhm.
just men that want to be fathers, right? Because we're
Yeah,
all different, right, in a way.
exactly.
But like we all do things differently, but
Mhm.
ultimately the people that you find yourself most attracted to and you connect, long term with are the
Yeah.
people who are motivated by the same things you're motivated with. So it kind of refreshed me and reminded me that this is why me and Ron was cool from day one.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like a lot of you, both of y'all had those similar mindset when it came to the co-parenting and things like
Yeah.
that. And I just love how transparent he was about what he went through and talking about mental health, how it was crazy for him. Because we don't talk about that, mental health.
Mental health is real, bro.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
I think I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but like the what the stigma behind it is that people who have mental health, they think like they're crazy. And it's like,
Hmm.
nah, it's really not that. Mental health is the slightest things from just negative thoughts. Everybody has negative thoughts. That's mental health, right? Just
Hmm.
thinking in a negative aspect, not fully comprehending your purpose. These all things are mental health issues,
Yeah.
right? When we're governed, when we talk about like the spirit of God and the
Hmm.
governing philosophy, it's a mentality. That's what it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
So mental health, where else can God dwell at other than your mind?
Fact. That's a
You know,
fact.
so
And one other thing I took from him when you talking about how they had to break his language down, how he talked.
fire.
I was like, I get that because even now I be trying to work on that. Because normally, if I'm talking, I talk really fast, so it sounds like I'm mumbling.
Yeah.
So like, I'll try to really slow down. And to
Hmm.
somebody, it may sound like, yo, why is he trying? Like, I'm really trying to work on my diction and pronunciation and all that. So like, I get what you're talking about in that, man. It's crazy.
I love words. I'm a big
Hmm.
words person. So,
Yeah.
I agree. It's definitely a very empowering thought
Yeah.
to know like you
Yeah.
have to consider those options
Yep.
when
Breaking it
when when
down.
you're when you're I guess trying to evolve and elevate, right?
Hmm.
So it's dope. It's definitely dope.
He talked about forgiveness, forgiving his father, and things like that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on forgiveness, bro?
I think that should be our topic for today.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I think I
Spark it
think
off. Let's do it.
I think I'm constantly evolving in my ability to forgive, right? Trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
understand what's worth forgiving, what's worth
Hmm.
holding on to, or is it even worth holding on to?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
relationships are worth it, what relationships aren't. Not saying that put your morals in jeopardy, but
Hmm.
it's more of a question of like, is this person valuable to me and is it worth us repairing, the relationship, you know?
I think that's the biggest stigma when it comes to forgiveness. Most people they feel when you hear forgiveness, now I'm cool with you again. Like I forgave you for what you did, so now we got to be cool.
Yeah.
But it's not like that because I feel like you can truly forgive somebody and
Mhm.
not have to be acquainted to them. But
Yeah,
some people be like,
relation.
well, why you ain't talking to them no more? You say you forgive them. So it's like, it's
Yeah.
weird.
I think it's like a double-edged sword or like a weird conundrum because it's like, oh, I forgive you so I can talk to you. No, I forgive you
Mm-hmm.
in the aspect of, what you did violated whatever I
Mm-hmm.
felt was
Yeah.
immoral, whatever. But it doesn't change the fact, like you can improve, you can do everything you have to do for yourself, meaning the
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah.
But even within that, I think once a certain violation is or a boundary is crossed,
Mm-hmm.
I forgive you, but I don't trust you. Right?
Yeah.
You kind of get
Okay.
what I'm saying? I forgive
Okay.
you, I don't trust you, and I don't think I'll ever put myself in that threshold again. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're referring to.
So like I live through biblical context and things
Mhm.
like that. So when it says in the Bible, forgive or your father in heaven won't forgive you,
Yeah.
you might look at that like, wow, that's crazy. So I
Mhm.
sit back and I analyze that.
Mhm.
That almost reflects it back to you like, yo, you mess up too.
Facts.
So it's like you can't forgive. So why should I forgive you? If you're not even able to forgive when you mess up just as much as that other person, you may do it in other ways,
Mhm.
you may do it in different situations, but you still mess up. So it's almost like I'm not gonna condemn you and judge you because you messed up against me. You may need some work, but I'm not gonna hold it against you because I might do something what I don't want somebody to hold against me.
I could dig that. I think my take on it is, well, obviously I don't think it's my take. So my take on it is when it really just depends on what you deem moral and immoral, right? That's
Mhm.
that's really like it's almost like that good and evil type of,
Yeah,
thought process. Cause for me, it's like even when I say like I forgive you,
yeah,
right? That doesn't change the immoral behavior.
yeah. Even your feelings towards that person too.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
I forgive, like when people say you truly forgive somebody,
Mhm.
I guess it depends on your level. Cause for me, like I'm the type of person, if if we have fallen out, I probably
Mhm.
just don't want to associate myself with you no more. So
Yeah.
forgiving for me would be if I see you, I can still say what up
Uh-huh.
and keep it pushing because that's
Yeah.
even a lot for me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
It's
I'm
levels. I
thinking,
think there's levels to forgiveness.
yeah, so for me, that's big for me
Mhm. Mhm.
because when I deem something immoral, when it's violated, I want nothing to do with it at all. So
Mm.
the process of communication between me and the other party it's non-existent anymore,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
So basically, you're saying for you with your
Mhm.
forgiveness process, you truly forgive when you're able to say something to that person if you see them.
Exactly. Like that's when I know I took it where it's like I'm okay with the situation. I'm at peace with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at peace enough with it where I can just speak, keep it casual, cordial, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, and keep it moving. But it will never be what it was.
Yeah. So it's almost like that phrase, forgive but don't forget.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I guess. But I think the beauty of God is that
Uh,
he forgets things, meaning,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He throws it into his sea of forgetfulness.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
if you pay attention, he leaves you with the memory of it.
Mm.
He never takes away the
Mm.
memory of what you're doing. Some things, like obviously, are past you,
Yeah.
so they're blurry, but they're still there. They're never just cold turkey gone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
blurry. Like he might blur it, but I've
Exactly.
never. There's no experience that I've went through that I have totally no recollection other than when I'm
Mm.
a young child and there's just so many years in between
Mm-hmm.
and puberty kicks in and there's so many things that came in between that. But in adulthood, it's really hard for me to say I forget things
Yeah,
in that
it's
aspect.
forgiveness can be touchy because
Mhm.
it's like, so imagine someone that was molested and you tell
Yeah.
them, yo, you got to forgive that your molester.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What do you mean? Like, do you know what they did to me?
The violation.
Exactly, but then it's kind of hard because you got to kind of push them to look on the other side. Like, you not forgiving them, they have a hold on you. And now they're just living their best life, not even worry about what they did. Whatever they did, that's their judgment.
Mhm.
So for me, I say you have to forgive so you can move on, because there's a lot of, because it can go back to relationships.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that happen to people in the past that they harbor in relationships, and they don't understand why relationships, some of their relationships don't work.
Meaning you talking about male and female, or you just saying
It
in
could
general?
it could be, yeah, I guess you could say that, male and female, where
Mhm.
they're in relationships and they have these triggers and they don't even know what what it stems from.
True.
A lot of times it stems back from previous situations in their past when they were kids or whatever.
Mhm.
But I really do feel, well, I've heard testimonies of people like online and stuff like that. Like, I forgave them for me, not for them.
I like that.
You know?
I think that gives you the power. It
Exactly.
rejuvenates you. So I agree with that. It's more of what is it rooted in?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What is the determining factor of the violation or the falling out? Like what was
Yeah.
the camel, or what is it? The straw that broke the
The straw
camel's
that brought the
back.
camel's back. Yeah.
What was it? Because when I look at it, people, all right, so I'll give an example. People could say, a
Now
lot of
let's
people
let's
say,
let's make it real practical. Let's talk about your father.
okay, okay, so all right, so with him, right? There's a dynamic there that a father son dynamic
Mm-hmm.
where it's hard to not long for a father,
Mm-hmm.
but it's easy to forget that you need one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a very weird space
Yeah.
because it's a subconscious thought, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
By nature, you want to connect
Mm-hmm.
to your creator.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
we're just saying the father, meaning your father,
Mm-hmm.
your physical father.
Yeah.
But when things are done that you deem immoral,
Mm-hmm.
now you have that side of you where it's like I don't need it at the same time,
Mm.
right? But being in the middle of that, what that causes, it causes a very challenging ideology,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you inherit that thought process too much, it could alter your faith.
Yeah. It'll
But if
translate into that. Yeah.
right, but if you don't acknowledge it, you could fall into the same patterns.
Wow. That's deep.
You
That's
get what I'm
deep,
saying?
bro. That's deep.
When you think about a father, this is why fathers are so important because
Yeah.
the mental listen, all right, the best way to put it is like this. When a mother raises a child, not
Mm-hmm.
and this is not a knock versus the mothers, but mothers are nurturers. So they deal with a lot of the physical
Mm-hmm.
attributes of a child and what they need, right? So
Yeah.
they'll feed you, hug you, kiss you, even though men, side note, you're supposed to be doing that anyway,
Facts.
but
Facts.
usually men aren't like that, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is naturally when you want love and affection, you go to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
When you want guidance, you go to your dad,
Yeah.
right? So what happens is when you don't have one or the other, you're
Mm-hmm.
unbalanced.
You find it
Now,
a different way.
exactly.
Yeah.
So your mind, remember the fathers usually deal with the mind. Oftentimes I say, Cam can be wherever he wants, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
in here. I
Yeah.
dictate to this. I'm pointing to my mind, right? But when you have moral implications that violate your standards,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
now it becomes a thing where you can get lost in translation between a boy, teenage, and manhood.
Yeah. Because you'll hear a lot of dudes that father was in their life. Man, I don't need my pops. Like
Yeah,
I made it without him.
yeah.
So now you have that mindset like, well, I'm here. He wasn't there, so I don't need him. I'm
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
So it's a weird thing because it's like, yeah, you need your father, but if you don't have him and you feel like you all right, now it's like, what did I need him for anyway?
I think I think what happens is you train yourself to think that way because that's not a natural thought,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
right? It wasn't till like when Ron said, I felt like I needed some of his advice, I needed his way,
Yeah, yeah.
that type of thought. It's challenging, right?
Mhm,
I'll use myself, right? When when I want a father figure in the
mhm,
sense of someone to talk to, just somebody to vent to that I know I can trust, right? It's it's not a it's not a want as a man.
hmm.
It's an internal want from the boy that lives in me.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
big difference, right?
yeah.
As a man, I think like a man.
Mhm,
So my emotions don't override my morals.
mhm,
So even if my emotions, the young man inside of me wants that relation,
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
you come into conflict with the man that you are now.
Hmm.
So through that conflict is something you have to figure out what is valuable to you and what's important to you.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I've had like I had a great father growing up, but I would say one of the things that he said to me that I remember probably when I was moving, he said this to me, and I could have got super tight, but I was like, you know what? He's speaking from emotion right now. Like, cause he was he said to me, he was like, yo, you're not a man. So I'm just like, huh, where is this? Like you don't mean that. you just
Yeah,
you're emotional right now. Cause I could have took that and be like, you know what, word, I ain't a man. I'm moving out the house. Our relationship done. I don't need to talk to you no more.
yeah,
But I took that as, you know what? He's emotional right now. He's speaking from a place of unrational thought,
yeah. He's
you
not right.
know? Because I could have took that justifiably very personal.
True.
I could have took that very personal.
Facts.
Because when he said it, I was like, word, that's how you know what? I ain't even gonna feed into this because I know you're just upset right now.
Mhm.
So I was able to forgive him, and I knew I was able to forgive him because I didn't hold it against him.
So what would be your meaning when you say hold it against him? What do you consider holding against somebody?
Like now, when he say like, "Oh man, I love how you doing right now. You got your family taking it." I'll be like, "Yeah." And you said that was now what?
What now? Who the man now, big
Now
dog?
what? I told you I knew what I was doing. Like I told you, I'm out here doing my thing. I've never said that to him. I never brought it up. He went out his way and said like, "Yo, you made a good decision to move out. Like I didn't like it, but you made a good decision." So I was like, "All right, yeah, that." Because I could have rubbed it in his face. Like I told you, I knew what I was doing.
But were you like that because he owned up to what he said?
Hmm.
And that kind of validated what you already knew. So you don't have, it's almost like you don't have to rub it in my face if
Yeah.
you already acknowledge the wrongdoing.
Is a little bit of that, but it also still takes a level of maturity. Because even though I felt like, yeah, I'm justified, like I knew it,
Hmm.
I could still go, I told you. I said,
Yeah.
I told you I knew what I was doing. But I think so, yeah, it was more so like him saying, like seeing that, like, yeah, you are a man. You knew what you was doing. I didn't see it. You know, I get, yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, the
So,
fact that he was own up to it.
so I think about this saying a lot because I'm a father. I have two
Mhm.
sons. I'm a husband,
Yeah.
right? So, it's almost like time is going backwards in my mind in a way.
Yeah.
And when I say that is it's when I see myself in my kids.
Mm.
I see I actually see myself in my role as a father as my father was at that age.
Mm.
And
Wow.
my wife as my mother
Yeah.
in the
Yeah. I know
roles,
what you mean.
not so much of, anything else, just the
Yeah.
roles that they're playing. So I can't help but I'm constantly thinking about my childhood and
It's like that. Why would you do that type stuff? Is that what you think?
yeah, it's a why would you do that? Plus, where was your mind at this point in your
Mm.
life?
Yeah.
Plus, what's important to me now? What
Hmm.
means the most to me now? And what
Are you
I like,
willing to have that conversation with him?
yeah, I mean, I'm sure one day we're gonna have it.
Yeah.
I'm see for me, I'm a slow processor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
very slow. I'm the type of person, I need my space. I don't want to be bothered, right? And to be honest with you, you know what it is? Through the space,
Yeah.
what
You
I
start
end up,
figuring it out, putting it together.
right? But even more than that, what I test, all right, so this is, I'm a weirdo, whatever. But through my space, I actually test the person's character or what I mean to the person, right?
Uh-huh.
So if I create space between the two, or if I back up because of a
Mhm.
violation and you
Yeah.
keep coming forward, I'll meet
Mm,
you halfway. But if I
mm,
back
okay.
up and I get into
Okay.
this space, this
Okay.
isolated space, and you stay in your lane or you stay out there,
Yeah.
then I leave you out there. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not saying I don't do anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm saying is
You're
when
accountable.
yes, when I do things wrong, I'm the first to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
It's I forgot what I said to you, and I don't remember what it was, but it was something way later on, like yo, and I was like, yo, you were right about such and such. I don't even know
Yeah.
what it
I
was.
don't even know.
It might have been Fave. It might have been Fave. Fave might have told me something. Oh, it was Fave because he had a
Uh-huh.
situation,
Uh-huh.
and I told him I just like you bugging all of this stuff.
Yeah.
2 years later, two
I remember you was
years,
talking about that.
two
Yeah.
years later, I went back to him and apologized to him
Mm.
for what I said.
Yeah.
But he's like, it was 2 years ago, but it doesn't really matter
Mm.
because when you say something, you have to be accountable for your words. And if you realize that you're wrong, it's important for the relationship that you acknowledge your wrongdoing in the relationship. If it's important, if the relationship is actually important to you.
Wow. I think it might be it makes forgiveness easier when the person own ups to what they did.
Got you.
Because this ain't good, but you'll hear in a lot of relationships where you cheat on me. I just want to know. Just tell me. Yeah, I just want to know. Like, did you cheat on me?
Yikes.
So we can move past this. I just need to know. And sometimes when they tell them, they're able to move past it. I don't. For some
Yeah.
people, that it just works like that. But
Yeah. Oof.
yeah, it is rough. It's rough. But I think it's even much more better to get to a place. Even if you don't own up to it, I'm gonna forgive you, and I'm gonna just keep on moving with
No,
my life.
100%. I think
Yeah,
so. I think there's two levels to it. I think,
yeah,
right,
it's
there is
reciprocal.
the personal forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
where I'm cool. I'm at peace with the situation. And then there's the repairing of the relationship,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
There can be no repairing if there's no accountability
Mm-hmm.
for the wrongdoing. So if I take my situation, my dad is like, I realize what was going on when I was younger,
Mm.
right? I know what's going on now as a man and when I was
Yeah.
going through it as a child. And where I get caught is between my morals
Mm-hmm.
and my history,
Yeah.
right? So dealing with the two of them, it makes you question a lot of things, but it also brings clarity to you where it's like certain problems weren't really my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always say, as a father, you the more disciplined you are to biblical principles,
Yeah.
the more benefits your children have, the more
Yeah.
benefits your wife, receives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also the reverse.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
violate it,
Mm-hmm.
now there's a negative aspect to it. Your children have to pay the price, your wife has
Mm.
to pay the price. So for me, I think paying the price for poor decision making, it put me in a space where I had to learn how to make the right decisions.
Wow.
And
Wow.
in that predicament, now where it becomes rough because I'm a man with a family
Yeah.
and I'm disciplined to the extreme. So
Wow.
it makes you question why, but then you also have that moment where you go, but that's really not my beef. That's not my
Mm.
it's not my
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one that violated. I might have dealt with the repercussions, but it wasn't
Mm.
me. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
is it worth holding on or no, I don't want to say holding on, but is it worth the separation, right?
Yeah.
Is it
That
worth
kind of that kind of goes back to because I know like when you said it on the podcast, people like that's harsh. Like when you had that friend that was having issues with his wife.
yeah.
I think the biggest issue was that they were not willing to understand their flaws and see their wrongdoings.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So somebody might say, like, yo, your man cheat you out. It's not that cut and dry.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like, yo, if you cheat on your girl, I'm not your friend.
yeah,
It's how you about it. Are you remorsefully, aware of what you did and willing to
yeah,
make the changes? If you're not, yo, I ain't do nothing. Like, yo, I'm just, then it's like, yo, bro, like you really a foul dude. Like you really don't care. So
yeah,
how do I know you really care about me if you like
yeah.
that much of a savage and
True.
don't even and can't even say you're wrong?
Boy said I
Like
savage.
bro, you gotta be a savage to cheat on a girl and be like, you're not wrong.
Well, all right. So, real quick, let me ask you, what is considered, so we have some clarity here, okay? Because you have to remember when we say things, our terminology, we might say the
Yeah.
same things, but our meanings are drastically different. Remember,
Yeah.
translation is driven by the person who speaks it. So,
Mhm.
when you say cheat on your girl, what is cheating to you?
I used to think it was one way, but then I realized
Okay,
everybody's philosophy on cheating is different.
facts.
I started to realize, like, oh, y'all okay with that? That's not, I couldn't do that.
Mhm.
So some people, if you talk to them and I catch you, or if you flirt with somebody, it's okay.
Yeah.
Some people is just the talking, it's okay. But then there's some people's that next level, you have sex.
Mhm.
So it's like I would say it depends on the person and what they're willing to tolerate. For
Okay.
me,
Yeah, for you. I was about to say, what about for you?
anything that has to do with the opposite sex
Hmm.
that you cannot come to me about and that's not conducive to our marriage is
Yeah,
cheating.
I agree. I agree. So one thing I want to say is when it comes to philosophies and
Mhm.
ideologies, right?
Yeah.
This is why we're so big on mentality.
Mhm.
I mean, I know everybody, well, if you didn't hear, I'm gonna say it. So life and death
Mhm.
is in the power of the tongue,
Facts.
right? Your words stem from something.
Mhm.
It's usually what? Your mind. That's the only
Yep.
thing your words can actually stem from is what you think. So what you say actually represents what you think, not necessarily how you feel.
Yeah.
Now, your feelings are a driving factor of what you're saying, but you're
Yeah.
not speaking
Yeah.
from feeling, you're speaking from the thought process.
Mhm.
So for me, cheating is the thought of it
Mm. Yeah.
is the root of the violation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I say that, it goes to the point of I see people post other girls,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they got a girl or they married or whatever, and they be like, oh, she's
Yeah.
valid or whatever, right?
Yeah.
To me,
That's not okay in my
that's
book.
not okay. That's cheating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for me, cheating is anything that you think that
Mhm.
you can't relate to your wife or your husband, whatever the case
Mhm.
may be.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm not saying this, I'm not saying you can't correct it,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically, let's use the
I
Serena
already know
Williams.
what you go. I already
Serena
know.
Williams, yo,
I
your
know you
boy,
was going
your
there.
boy, your boy, your boy,
I
yo.
didn't think that deep into it though. I didn't even
But
let it get there.
but the crazy part is, right? The reason why you didn't let it get there is because you're disciplining your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you what's impressive about it. All right.
Uh-huh.
If you really pay attention to your mind is kind of like Instagram, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. All right. You ever clicked on a picture that led to another profile, that opened up
Oh,
another profile
facts.
that led to something else, and then
That's
before you know, you like 20 people,
you like, how did I
look,
get
you're like,
here?
whose page is this, right?
That's a good analogy right there.
Right? Your mind works the exact same way. So
Yep.
you heard on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
yo, Serena Williams and that Black Castle. You said, oh yeah, Serena Williams and that
That
Black
was
Castle.
crazy.
And then it was crazy. Then you
Yeah.
start thinking, yo, let me look at it real quick. Then you click on one of
Yeah.
her pictures. And you
Yep.
go, oh, she look crazy in this Nike. Then you go,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah, I didn't even take it. I was like, nah, I don't even want to see that picture.
As we said. So when you start taking extreme care of your mind and your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
this is why you caught it so quick because it wasn't it was it wasn't in a it wasn't a governing thought,
Mm-hmm.
you knew it was something outside of your normal thought patterns,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So because something infiltrated it, you weren't comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
automatically you went to, yo, let me fix this,
Yeah.
right? So that also stems to the fact that you have to be careful who you talk to,
Yeah.
what you watch on TV, what you see on Instagram, what you
Mm-hmm.
listen to as far as music, anything. Anything can trigger these little subtle brain lapses, I call them,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But they're so subtle that if you're not in tune with yourself and you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand how your mind flows, you won't catch them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you can for okay, if I'm someone that constantly cheats on my girl or I'm constantly a bad friend, whatever, in any
Cheat
type
on
of
your, let's use
relationship,
your diet. Use your diet. You constantly cheat on your diet because everybody does
constantly
that.
cheat on my diet, at some point, there's gonna get a point where I'm not seeing results. And you're gonna wonder why. It's like doing this diet, but then I'll go back and dab a little here.
On the weekend.
Yeah, do that, dabble in it. Next thing you know, that weekend thing turned into a couple of days during a week. You know what I'm saying?
Or hold on, I got one for you too. The
Uh-huh.
weekend thing, add up the days during the week. So there's 2 weekend days, Saturday, Sunday. You
Uh-huh.
can add those days up for the month. So that's four, that's basically
Mm.
2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 days out of the month.
And some people consider Friday a weekend.
Okay, so let's say 3. And then you wonder why you run around with the beer belly, but whatever
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
So go ahead. So you said, so let's say they break it up. They like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm cheating on my diet three
Yeah.
times, 3 times.
3 times. Okay.
Mhm.
So now let's say you got a 6-month plan. Within that 6 months, it's gonna probably a couple days off. It's gonna even out to basically you didn't even follow your diet. It's gonna be the same amount of days of cheating is the same amount of days of diet. So it's like you wasted your whole time. You didn't get no results. You didn't get nothing changed. You just stayed the same.
You
It's like, why
just
even do that to yourself?
you just wasted your time. You should have just been eating if that's the case.
Yeah,
Yo,
your time because everything that you gained, you went back on,
yeah,
and it's harder to gain than to go back. Because like when I used to wrestle, we would lose 20 pounds in a week, right?
yeah.
It would take all week struggling, running, struggling. The day of the match, you can gain that 20 pounds back like that.
That's crazy.
And it's like, yo, I did all the, you would think it would take throughout the week for you to gain that weight back, but no,
Hmm.
because it's harder to progress than
Hmm.
to degress, if I'm saying it
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. No, I
You know what
get
I'm
you.
saying? So,
That's crazy. I think one thing I'll say too, when Ron was talking about his longing for that relationship with his
mm-hmm.
pops,
Yeah.
right? It definitely triggered something in me because I always I'm so big on fatherhood. That's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
valuable asset
Yeah.
to me, and it's
Yeah.
so important to me. So when I think about certain things, right? And so for let's use your weight as an example, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna translate it into the father son scenario,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're a parent or you're a father and you constantly encourage your kids, you
Mm-hmm.
can do it. Anything that you put your mind to, you can accomplish it. You
Mm-hmm.
have the best energy, you have great conversation, right?
Yep. Yep.
But you don't keep that same energy with your siblings, right?
Mm.
So I'll say the father is like that with one child, but he's not like that with the other children.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens is there's a giant separation between wanting a relationship and disrespecting morals,
Hmm.
right? So do you want a relationship more than you respect the morals, right? Because if I'm
Uh-huh.
saying as a man, I feel a way towards men who don't try to build a relationship with their children,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then I experience it hands on.
Yeah.
you have to figure out what do you deem most important, right? Because if I'm saying that this specific thing is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and then the person you're trying to have a relationship with does it,
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough.
how do you separate the two?
I think you have to look at it in the sense of almost, I would say, like in the Bible when it says honor your mother and father, right?
Hmm.
So it says that. It doesn't really put no stipulation behind it. So I look at that as you're my father, so I'm gonna have a level of respect, but that doesn't mean I have to have a certain level of relationship with you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I get you.
So it's not like just because you're my dad, I have to build this relationship with you. No, I'm gonna have a level of respect because
You gave me life.
you gave me life. So off that, because that's a great thing,
No one
that's
else did that.
huge.
No one else did that.
No one else did that. So I'm gonna
Got you.
reserve that for you.
I got you.
But as far as me and you relationship, it's not conducive to my life.
I get
So
you.
you have to understand I can't have that kind of relationship with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, I always see it's just for me, it's always I have two boys. So I'm
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
constant evolving space in my mind because my oldest son is 10, my
Mm,
youngest son is 2.
yeah.
I see each one and each one. It's so
Mm-hmm.
weird because I see
Yeah.
Christian and Cam, I see Cam and Christian because I've
Mm,
always been there. So, but in the same aspect, I also see me in him.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I look at Cam and I can remember being him and what he feels from wanting, that type of fatherly love.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he goes out his way to, oh, can you lay with me and watch TV? Can we do this together? He
Yeah.
vocalized it, right? And I can put myself back in that space where
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I wanted and I didn't really get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, I'm still a man.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now. So it doesn't hinder me in that aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but it challenges me to think full circle
Mm-hmm.
on a consistent basis,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I look at certain situations where I could really just be like, you know what, whatever with this situation, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Separate myself, right? But
Yeah.
then I also do have those situations where I do question, is this worth it?
Mm.
Right? Is it worth it?
Yeah.
But this is me being so brainwashed.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
think, is it worth it?
Yeah.
The first thing I think about is principles.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
the like because is it worth it feeling is an emotion.
Mm.
That's automatic. I know it's an emotion. So I'm like, okay, I'm emotional about this predicament. So
Yeah.
now I have to add some principle to either validate my emotions
Yeah.
or invalidate my emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I said in the beginning is levels. Like if you a person that you just having this, you just can't get this forgiveness thing in your mind.
Yeah,
Don't look at it in a full spectrum. Look
yeah,
at it as in levels. It
yeah,
I feel like breaking it down will make it easier to get to a place where you can forgive somebody that has a hold on you.
yeah. I like that. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. I think too. I think about this. When the saying, or the scripture. I'm saying it's a saying like it's foreign,
Mhm.
but
Now
the
you know
scripture.
the reason you say the same because you live it so much, so it's like
Yeah, I'm saying it literally, but like, as a child, you think as a child. As a
yeah,
man, you put away your childish ways and you
yeah,
think like a man. So
yeah,
for me, I've always had that philosophy. Men don't make emotional decisions.
yeah, yeah.
They make principle driven decisions or
Mm-hmm.
logical decisions,
Logical.
right? Because at the root of a man's decision is a negative or positive consequence that affects the family,
Mm,
right? So if your decision that you make is based on your emotions, then that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's not going to have a negative effect on the
yeah,
people that you're responsible
that's
for.
true. That's true.
But if you align your decisions with principle, you can
True.
always go back to the root of it, and
Exactly.
then you could apply it effectively. Whereas I know if I'm loyal to my
Mm-hmm.
wife is gonna be happy.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be happy. My kids are gonna trust me.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is gonna trust me. I'm honoring my covenant. All
Yeah.
of these things that come about, and it's not an emotional decision. You being
Yeah.
faithful isn't an emotional decision.
Yeah.
It's a principle,
Exactly.
right? It's not
Exactly.
emotional. It's a principle. It's very logically driven. Uh it has nothing to do with the thought of, oh, I feel like being loyal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
not a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's an action. It's a
Yeah.
principle that you live by. So I think I guess maybe I'm
I
trying
get
to.
what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying, when you live by that, it's hard for anything that's happened in the past or harbored to come into play in your life
Yes.
because you're living by a set of principles and
Yes.
discipline, so that if there was something, it kind of don't even matter.
Yes. And I think even more than that, your lens becomes different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? When I say lens, or your filter. Let's use the better word, filter. When
Hmm.
I filtered pain or emotions, or let me say, when I filtered violations as a child,
Hmm.
I got emotional about it.
Mm.
But that was as a child. But
Exactly. Exactly.
when I filter violations as a man,
Yeah.
I line them up against the principles
Yeah. You
to de
process it.
exactly. So
Hmm.
that's my determining factor with the outcome,
Yeah.
right? So for me, if I'm gonna say, all right, I'm gonna work on this relationship, the first thing that I'm gonna look at is the principles of the relationship.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if all right, if we're gonna take baby steps, hypothetically, right? I'm gonna
Hmm.
say I'm gonna test it with one situation. If you pass that one test, not saying in a bad way, like a test,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just a situation. Let's see how this situation turns out. If it
Hmm.
turns out good, then maybe I'll take another step forward.
Another step. Yep.
And then boom. And then what happens is your track record, it'll improve. But
Hmm.
how do you let me ask you this then? How do you feel like your relationship has changed from your childhood relationship with your parents compared to you're being an adult now in your relationship with your parents? Because a lot of people have different takes, but what you think?
I feel like as an adult, you, well, for me personally, you have your own thoughts on things. It's not just because you said it. It's like
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. As a kid, it's not like you can't. There's no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, yeah.
As an adult and as a man of your own, you're able to gather your own thoughts, have your own experiences. So now I can say, no, I don't agree with that, and here's why. Because I'm grown. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And I have my own situation. So what you're saying that might work for you, and you may think that works, but for me now, I have my own family. I have my own whatever, so
Mm,
I can see things from a different lens, like you said.
yeah.
So my process is different from yours now.
Mm.
So I can't, because you said it. I can't. I don't have to agree with it.
So one thing that I realized, and maybe I don't know if it was good or bad for me, because
Hmm.
listening to you say that, you've seen your elevation,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Mentally.
Hmm.
I took on that philosophy or that ideology. I took it on so early
Hmm.
that I've I've I don't remember a time when I didn't think like that,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I feel stagnant,
Hmm.
but I don't the only difference that I see in the way I think is the principles that I applied to my thought process,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You can actually see it. Like when you're saying
Mhm.
that, I know you, so obviously I
Yeah.
see it clearly. Like I
Exactly.
know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But for me, it's hard for me to think of it in that way because I've
Yeah.
always thought like that. Like
And doing that.
what you're
Yeah.
saying, I've always thought like that.
Yeah.
So it's harder, I think, when I think about my maturation process and the way I
Hmm.
think, and even in forgiveness and those things, it's like I've always deemed things wrong.
Yeah.
I've never had
Yeah.
a problem with speaking up on what's wrong. So you know how
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, you can't judge people because you got
Yeah.
right?" I'm not. I'm not saying I'm against that,
Hmm.
but I don't believe that's
Effective.
No, I don't even think. I think it's very objective because
Yeah.
for people to say that, that would mean that you think nothing. You like. I don't think nothing is wrong,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
and that's impossible because how could you say you don't think anything's wrong? If you come home and your wife is in the bed with another man, do you think that's wrong? Oh, that's her decision. She can make that. So listen, I understand that
Those
that's
type
her
of people you
decision,
stay away from.
right? So or you get stuck up. Somebody rob you,
Yeah.
gun to the head. Is that wrong? Right? I just feel like in our current climate and
Hmm.
the way the people view things, a lot of people are just scared to
Hmm.
say what's wrong and
That's
what's
true.
right.
That's true.
I think it's a fear of having standards. And
Yeah.
I feel like the climate and the culture promotes that.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Because you can't say nothing. Oh, you hating.
yeah, and us both growing up in church, right?
Hmm.
It was like, did you ever hear a pastor say, "Oh, don't touch God's anointed," or "Don't whatever"? That type of
I've heard that plenty of times.
right? And it made me question as a man, obviously, you go, what do you mean? Don't touch like
Yeah.
God's anointed.
Yeah.
We're if we're all made in his image and we're all the same,
Yeah.
then that
Yeah.
means nobody can touch anybody,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But what I realized was it when people oftentimes people that say, "Oh, I can't judge you for this or I can't judge you for that,"
Hmm.
oftentimes they're not following principles anyway,
That's true. That's true. That's true.
right? Because when you have certain standards
Yeah.
and you deem them immoral, if somebody violates them, what are you gonna say?
That's where you need to know what's acceptable and what's not.
But even
If you
saying that,
don't,
right? Yeah,
if you
but even
don't, then
saying
you
even
can't
what you
accept it.
just said, right? Even what you
Uh-huh.
just said,
Yeah.
the minute you say you know what's acceptable, what's not, you're deeming
Hmm.
something wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, if you have to say that, then that means something happened, and it's not a
It
good situation.
so then for the people who have that philosophy of oh, you think that you're better than other
Hmm.
people, or
Yeah. Yeah,
or
that's
you
true.
can't say what's right and what's wrong. Who are you? Who are you? There it goes. Who are
Who
you
are
to
you
say
to?
what's right and what's wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a set of morals.
Uh-huh.
I have standards and I live by them.
Yeah.
I think where people get lost in translation and why they take it offensive is
Hmm.
because they assume that you want them to live by those standards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where people get it confused. I'm not telling you to live by those standards.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm just stating I have standards.
Don't,
I
don't be
have
mad at me because I'm shooting for perfection.
nah, listen, I'm very I'm very internally driven, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Facts. Facts.
So
Yeah.
for me, everything is that deep. A
Yeah.
lot of time, a lot
Yeah.
of things, people, it's not that deep. For me, everything
Yeah.
is that deep. I think very deep into things. So
Yeah.
I can't help but to imagine a world where if everybody had the same moral
Yeah.
standards,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
What?
know, it would. But it could go negative too. Because what if everybody's like, "Yo, everybody do what they want, live it up, my boy." Yo,
Nah, that wouldn't work. That would not work. That would not work.
anarchy. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. But yo,
Man.
this
This definitely, I feel like this opened up levels to people to really just start looking at your thoughts and your situations and what you've been through and like, is this worth this? Is this worth that? I mean, don't
facts.
harbor stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Harboring isn't healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but also keep in mind you want to make sure that you're clear on your standards and your morals, so
That's a
that
fact.
way, if push comes to shove, you're not making emotional decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You're making morally sound, smart decisions that have a positive effect.
And on that note, you're gonna go through ups and downs through all those decisions,
Facts.
the levels of forgiveness.
True.
But what helps through all of that, seriously, is keeping God before anything, man.
Man, God is pretty dope. I ain't gonna front.
Fact. That's a fact.
And you know my motto:
Mm-hmm.
strive for perfection. Just keep trying, because
That's it.
even if you
Mm-hmm.
fall short, you're still going to be excellent. And that says a lot about you, my friend. Other
Big
than
facts.
that, we'll see y'all next week. We'll
Holla.
holla later.